Matilda, the video of books. Mr. and Mrs. Wormwood had a daughter called Matilda. By the age of 1.5, Matilda's speech was perfect and she knew as many words as most grown-ups. By the time she was 3, Matilda had taught herself to read by studying newspapers and magazines that lay around the house. At the age of 4, she naturally began wanting books. The only book in the house was one called Easy Cooking. She read this from cover to cover and learned all the recipes by heart. Then she decided she wanted something more interesting. So one fine afternoon, she went to the public library in the village. "Where are the children's books, please?" asked Matilda. "They're over there on those lower shelves," Mrs. Phelps told her. From then on, every afternoon, Matilda would toddle down to the library. She would sit quietly by herself in a cozy corner, reading one book after another. When she had read every single children's book in the place, she started wandering around in search of something else. "Can I help you, Matilda?" asked Mrs. Phelps. "I'm wondering what to read next," Matilda said. "I have finished all the children's books." Mrs. Phelps looked down at Matilda from her great height, and Matilda looked right back up at her. "Exactly how old are you, Matilda?" she asked. 4 years and 3 months, Matilda said. Mrs. Phelps was very surprised indeed. "What sort of a book would you like to read next?" she asked. Matilda said, "I would like a really good one that grown-ups read. A famous one." Mrs. Phelps looked along the shelves. "Try this," she said at last. "It's very famous and very good." Great Expectations, Matilda read by Charles Dickens. "I'd love to try it." Within a week, Matilda had finished all the 411 pages of Great Expectations. "I loved it," she said to Mrs. Phelps. "Could you choose another for me?" With Mrs. Phelps' help, Matilda read lots and lots of famous books. "Some writers say a lot of things I don't understand," Matilda said to Mrs. Phelps. "A good writer will always make you feel that," Mrs. Phelps said. "Don't worry about the bits you can't understand. Sit back and allow the words to wash around you like music." "Did you know," said Mrs. Phelps, "that libraries allow you to borrow books and take them home?" "I didn't know that," said Matilda. From then on, Matilda would visit the library only once a week in order to take out new books and return the old ones. Her own small bedroom now became a reading room. Through the stories she read, Matilda traveled all over the world while sitting in a little room in a village. Thank you. The end.